Imagine your life as a canvas for a moment. Is it, just shades of gray, kind of a monochrome existence? Or is it bursting with a vibrant, dazzling colors? Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into what it truly means to cultivate, well, not just a colorful life, but an abundant life. Yeah. Our compass on this journey. It's ancient wisdom, specifically the incredibly rich letter of Paul to the Philippians. And we're looking at it through the lens of a really fascinating audio sermon from back in 2016. Our mission really is to pull out these timeless nuggets about finding peace, joy, purpose, even when life throws challenges your way, hopefully transforming how you see your own everyday experiences.
Yeah, and it's remarkable how that sermon kicks things off with such a simple yet really powerful visual metaphor, a church logo. Mm-hmm. This particular design, as it was described, actually features 6 distinct colors, and that includes white, which we often overlook, but apparently plays a surprisingly dominant role here.
Mm-hmm. Right, and within that, if you look closely, you see these 4 inner lines. You've got warm tones like yellow and orange, and then cool tones, green and blue. It's not just a pretty design, it's packed with layers of meaning, isn't it?
Precisely. The designer's intention was apparently for these colors to represent the diverse ethnic groups that actually form the church. So Taiwanese, Hakka, mainlanders, indigenous people, all uniting.
Yeah.
You also see this kind of qualitative change, signifying growth in spirit and depth as the colors move from the inside out. They shift from a looser feel to a denser arrangement.
Okay.
And at the same time, the lines are shorter inside and get longer outside. That illustrates quantitative growth. So an increase in numbers and outreach.
Yeah.
And the whole design, as you sort of step back and look at it, it resembles hands raised in praise and prayer, and it's all centered around the cross.
And that brings us to a really crucial insight from the designer that was mentioned. If these colors aren't matched correctly, the whole image just looks chaotic.
Exactly.
Not just colorful, it's kind of a mess. And this isn't just about aesthetics, is it? It feels like a profound metaphor for our own lives. I mean, if life isn't just about collecting experiences, these colors, but about harmonizing them, what does that practically mean for us? Is it balance, or is it actively seeking meaning in every single color?
Well, it absolutely connects to life. A colorful life is inherently richer than a monochromatic one. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But the crucial point, just like the logo shows, is that this richness only truly works, only truly manifests when the colors, your diverse life experiences, are harmonized. Without that deliberate effort to, bring them into some kind of alignment, it's not a beautiful tapestry. It's just a jumble. Harmonizing implies finding purpose, finding connection between different parts of your life, even the tough parts.
That resonates. Okay, so with that vibrant image of how diverse elements can create a harmonious whole, let's turn to a real-life example. Someone who truly lived a colorful, maybe challenging existence. Paul. His journey wasn't just history, it was a testament to embracing every color life threw at him. Let's maybe set the stage for how this remarkable story unfolds in Philippi. Starting around AD 52 with the Macedonian vision.
Right, the Macedonian vision. This was a huge moment. Paul initially had plans, to head east towards Asia, but then in this really crucial dream, he saw a man from Macedonia pleading, "Come over and help us." Mm-hmm. This was a divine nudge, a redirection that dramatically shifted his mission. From east to west, from Asia right into Europe. It's fascinating because it was such a clear sign, changing the whole trajectory of early Christianity.
And Philippi itself, the place he was directed to, that was kind of unexpected for such a big shift, wasn't it?
It really was. Philippi, see, wasn't a major Jewish center. That often meant, established traditions, maybe more resistance to new ideas. Instead, it was a Roman military outpost. So a diverse population, often transient. Many people perhaps more open to new ideas, less tied to existing religious structures. And the fact there was no synagogue, where you might typically find early converts, meant people gathered informally outside the city walls to pray. So this created a kind of fresh, fertile ground for the first European church to take root, maybe less encumbered by older ways.
So fertile ground meant a bit of a blank slate almost, allowing something genuinely new to blossom. And the early conversions there were, as you said, pretty incredible. What made them so remarkable? How did they lay such a strong foundation?
Well, the very first European convert was Lydia. She was a wealthy merchant dealing in this extremely rare purple fabric. Purple, back then, was extracted from Mediterranean shells, very expensive, very noble. It signaled her high status. Lydia was already a worshiper of God, and her conversion immediately showed the diverse appeal of Paul's message. It reached across social strata right from the get-go. The insight here, maybe, is that profound change, a truly colorful beginning, often takes root in unexpected places, and it reaches people who are ready for a new path. regardless of their background.
That's a powerful point about being open, but it wasn't all smooth sailing, was it?
Yeah.
There was another significant encounter that led to some serious trouble for Paul and Silas.
Indeed. Yeah, after Lydia's conversion, Paul ran into the slave girl. She was possessed by a spirit that allowed her to tell fortunes, making her owners a lot of money. When Paul, in an act of spiritual liberation, cast out the spirit, freeing her, her owners were, understandably, furious. Their income stream just vanished. This incident really highlights how standing up for freedom, for truth, often comes at a cost. It can stir up opposition, especially from those benefiting from injustice.
And that act of liberation, of course, led directly to Paul and Silas being arrested, beaten, thrown into prison. But then, as often happens in these kinds of stories, something miraculous occurred.
Right. A powerful earthquake shook the prison, opened all the doors.
Which seems like the perfect time to escape, right? Yet Paul didn't. Why not?
That's the extraordinary part. Instead of running, Paul spoke to the terrified jailer. The jailer thought everyone had escaped and was about to kill himself.
Yeah.
But Paul's composure, his concern for his captor even then, well, that moment of grace led directly to the conversion of the jailer and his entire household. The profound insight here is that real spiritual liberation isn't just about escaping physical chains. It's about transforming hearts and minds, even in the most hostile situations. This whole sequence, Lydia, the jailer, it truly laid the foundation for the Philippian church. A church Paul later called very good, one that had seen both solid teaching and these incredible miracles.
And what's truly remarkable, just mind-blowing really, is that Paul later writes a letter to this very church, not from a place of comfort, but from a Roman prison, 1,000 kilometers away, around AD 60. He's facing the real possibility of execution. Yet what just leaps off the page when you read Philippians is how, almost unbelievably, it's filled with joy, despite everything.
It's completely a testament to his perspective. And what's fascinating here is the role of Epaphroditus. The Philippian church sent him all that way to minister to Paul in prison, bringing him financial help, material support. Much needed, I imagine. Paul saw this active demonstration of community care, right in his moment of hardship, as a profound source of joy and comfort. It really underscores how, even in our darkest times, the support and solidarity of others can be a wellspring of unexpected strength and even cheer.
So from this letter, specifically Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 to 14, we can pull out 4 powerful lessons. Lessons for cultivating a truly fulfilling life, even when your canvas has some darker shades. Lesson 1 is all about focusing your thoughts. Paul tells them, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. It's a powerful call to consciously choose our internal monologue. But how do we actually do that with all the negativity and distractions around?
That's the challenge, isn't it? As you approach new beginnings or even just face the daily grind, what thoughts are you actually dwelling on? Are they aligned with goodness, with God's will? Your internal monologue profoundly shapes your reality. It's not about, ignoring the bad stuff, but actively directing your mind. If your thoughts are consistently fixed on what's true, noble, praiseworthy, you start to cultivate an inner landscape that's more resilient, more positive. It means being intentional about the inputs you allow in your mind, kind of like curating the palette of colors for your life's canvas.
That makes a lot of sense. We can't always control external events, but we can control our response, where we direct our focus. Which leads nicely into the second lesson. Put faith into action. Paul writes in verse 9, whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. Paul wasn't just talking the talk, he walked the walk. He encouraged the Philippians to imitate him, just as he imitated Christ. But what does that look like for us today, beyond just nodding along?
Well, Paul's own life is the prime example. He endured beatings, prison, faced life-threatening dangers. Yet he didn't run from adversity. Instead, he appealed to Caesar, turning his suffering into an opportunity, his motivation, to spread the news of the resurrected Christ right to the heart of the Roman Empire. He saw it as a massive news event that could impact countless lives. So this challenges us directly. Does your faith just stay in your head? Or does it actually show up in your actions, even when it's inconvenient? Think about a simple example. If you believe in community, is that belief only active when it's sunny and easy? Or are you still there for others when it's pouring rain, metaphorically or even literally, when you'd rather just stay home? It's about showing your convictions through tangible commitment.
That's a very vivid image. Okay, the third lesson builds on this, promising the gift of peace. Paul says if you practice these things, the God of peace will be with you. I remember a parable mentioned in the sermon about wealth, scholarship, beauty, and health, all arguing over which is most important in life. Health won in the story. but the sermon then unpacked a deeper truth.
Exactly. It reveals that while health seems crucial, people sometimes sacrifice it for money selling blood, even organs in extreme cases. And even just routine health checks can bring anxiety, not peace. True, lasting peace isn't ultimately found in what you possess or your physical state. It's found in harmony with God. Paul also mentions having one's name written in the book of life back in chapter 4, verse 3. In biblical terms, that signifies a secure, eternal relationship with God. This offers a kind of peace that goes beyond earthly worries about wealth, beauty, or health, because your ultimate security is rooted elsewhere. It's an internal calm, regardless of the external storms.
And finally, the fourth lesson, joy and contentment in all situations. Paul found great joy despite being locked up, facing potential death. This joy came partly from the Philippian church's care, which reminded him God hadn't forgotten him. It just sounds so counterintuitive finding joy there.
It absolutely does, which is why it's so profound. He states, "I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances." Now, this wasn't just about being okay with not having much materially. It was a deep spiritual satisfaction. Paul, remember, was a man of huge intellect, great passion. He gave up a lot for his faith. He understood that true fulfillment came from something deeper, more enduring than earthly comfort and possessions. And this leads to his incredible secret, as he calls it. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. It's not a boast about his own power, but an admission of reliance on a divine source.
That's such a powerful line. It immediately makes me think of Jesus' needle's eye analogy, Matthew 19, where he says it's harder for a rich man to enter heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. It's often misunderstood as a literal sewing needle, but what's fascinating is the interpretation mentioned that it likely referred to a narrow city gate, the needle's eye.
Right, a gate that camels had to navigate slowly, with difficulty, maybe even kneeling, to get through after the main gates were shut.
Exactly. So the point isn't impossibility, but difficulty through human effort alone. What seems impossible for us, like letting go of attachments or finding contentment in hardship, becomes possible with God's strength. This lesson really hammers home relying on a higher power, not just our own grit, to reach spiritual goals and find that fulfillment.
Precisely. And this brings us right back to our canvas metaphor, embracing a truly colorful life. Life isn't just black for suffering or white for blessings. It's this rich, complex tapestry of experiences. The real skill lies in how we perceive and integrate all those different hues.
And it's crucial not to just ignore or deny those darker colors. Paul himself faced humiliation, hunger, scarcity. Life definitely includes negative lines, loss, health crises, money troubles, relationship conflicts. It's vital not to pretend they're not there, to be genuinely sorrowful for sin and pain, rather than putting on a brave face or just avoiding it all.
Absolutely. But at the same time, life also has its vibrant red, yellow, blue lines, moments of abundant satisfaction, surplus, real joy. What's truly critical here is Paul's statement, I know how to deal with all these things, whatever the circumstances I have learned. That's the core insight. How you handle life's varied situations is far more important than what you possess. It's a learned skill, a cultivated perspective.
That's a powerful distinction. It shifts the whole focus from external circumstances to internal fortitude, doesn't it? Think about it. Someone with immense wealth might be exploitative, making their riches a curse, not a blessing. Conversely, someone with very little might use it generously, wisely. It's not the quantity of colors on your canvas, but the disposition, the heart with which you apply them.
It also really challenges our modern chase for wealth as the ultimate prize. This relentless focus on retirement planning, chasing that magic number, 30 million, 100 million, whatever it is, that pursuit can lead to a lifetime of striving, often sacrificing health along the way, only to maybe leave an inheritance. It's a potential trap if that becomes the sole focus. It raises a big question for all of us, really. Does our pursuit of financial security start to overshadow our spiritual, our personal well-being? Are we just collecting colors but forgetting how to actually paint?
Exactly. It echoes Jesus' profound wisdom. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? That's Mark 8:36. And also, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Matthew 6:34. These aren't just ancient sayings. They feel incredibly practical for navigating modern anxiety.
Right. The ability to truly live an abundant life, even when you're struggling with illness or sin or financial worries, comes from relying on God's strength. This strength helps you navigate the challenges, sure, but also helps you achieve God's plan, which often transcends purely personal desires. Paul even described his suffering alongside the Philippians as a beautiful thing. Why? Because it connected them to God. It transformed a finite, visible, suffering life into part of an eternal journey with Christ. It shifted their whole perspective from immediate discomfort to long-term spiritual growth.
So when your foundation is stable, through that connection with God, you genuinely can handle any color life throws at you. You won't become arrogant when things are going well, nor will you feel completely abandoned when things get tough. It's about having that unwavering anchor in the shifting seas of life. It allows you to appreciate the full spectrum, not just the bright spots.
That's the essence of true contentment, isn't it? A peace that, as Paul says, transcends understanding.
And as we bring our deep dive to a close, let's revisit that image we started with. Your life truly is God's canvas. He's adding different colors, different textures every single day. The profound message from Paul, even from his prison cell, seems crystal clear. Through reliance on God, every single aspect of your life, the joys and the sorrows, can become part of his most beautiful masterpiece.
Yeah, this deep dive really reveals that true abundance isn't about meticulously trying to avoid the darker colors of life. It's about learning how to integrate them, how to weave them into a coherent, meaningful picture. They provide depth, contrast.
So here's a final thought. What might your life's masterpiece look like if you deliberately embraced every experience, trusting that a divine artist is guiding the brush, even through those unexpected, maybe difficult hues? Something to ponder as you step back into the vibrant, unpredictable canvas of your